Hi there, Julie Cross here. Want to talk a little bit about the relationship between service and sales today, because often when we're doing customer service training, what comes up is a lot of people have a negative reaction around the whole sales concept. Oh, I don't like selling. People don't like being sold to. My customers don't like being sold to, so I don't want to be seen to be selling. And service and sales very much are related. You're doing one, you're doing the other, because we're not in business not to make money. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? And we can't employ you if we're not making any money. So we are in the business of selling, but we do it through service. And so I'd love to share with you a little analogy that I use to help us own the fact that service really is selling really is service, and as long as we're doing it from here, from a place from the heart where we're serving, and that was our focus, then it's really okay, and customers really are okay with it. Because you take the story of a restaurant. So you're going to a restaurant, you've booked it, it's one of those nice restaurants. So you've made a reservation at the restaurant, you and your partner, and you go in and you're met at the door by a maitre d'. So the maitre d' greets you, and he says, oh, we've got the best table in the house for you tonight. And so you go and sit at the best table, apparently the best table in the house. It makes us feel good, the best table in the house. And so you have a seat, and then he will offer you the menus, and then he will let you know what the specials are for this evening. Now, this isn't the blackboard style menu, so he's memorised what the specials are, so he's come in a little bit early, committed to his job to make sure he knows how to communicate the specials to you. And then he might say something like this. He might say, we've got a freshly caught piece of barramundi. It is done in the chef's finest beer batter and served on a bed of couscous, and then it is drizzled with da-da-da-da-da. So he doesn't just say, we've got fish thrown on a plate. Cook fish on a plate. He gets creative with his communication and the way that he presents it to you. That inspires us to think about this piece of fish. So it's not just a bit of fish on a plate, which is really what it is. It's a freshly caught piece of barramundi done in the chef's finest beer batter. So we're adding value to the product with our communication. We're getting creative. So is that sales or is that service? Well, it's kind of a bit of both, because it will inspire us to buy. So we does that, and then he gives us time to peruse the menus, and then we kind of go, what are you going to look at? What are you going to look? What are you going to have? What are you going to have? Because I can't decide what I'm having until I know what you're going to have. That's how we are. And so we do that because I don't want to get dish envy. That dish envy thing where you come in, I wish I'd got that. And so we've done a little bit of that. And then they're kind of watching us, and then the waiter comes back over and says, oh, what have you decided to have? Now, this is the other point with this. We rang up and booked in for dinner. So that was all that we booked in for. So, if we're in the beauty industry, somebody might just ring up and book in for a facial. If we're in the hairdressing industry, they might just ring up and book in for a haircut. If you're in the car industry, they might just ring up and book in for a service. And that's it. So I've booked in for dinner. So we don't know what dinner looks like right now, but we've perused the menu and we've looked at the main courses. Now, if that waiter is personally going to recommend a dish, we will be inclined to order that dish, because the people value the connection is being made. That's how powerful people are. And so the waiter perhaps comes back and we perhaps order, a main course, and then he might say something like, oh, look, I've really got to recommend the entree of the quail. It is just so beautiful. The chef has just started doing that this week. I tried it last night and it is, amazing. Oh, we weren't going to have an entree, but yeah, well, perhaps we will have that. That sounds wonderful. So personally recommending that dish, suddenly we're having now an entree and a main course, and we only just booked in for dinner. So that was it. So now we're having entree and main course. And so then the chef might say, if we haven't ordered it, the waiter might say, oh, while you're waiting for your entree, would you like to try our beautifully freshly cooked pumpkin damper or the chef's special honey and herb bread? Now, at this point, do you feel like getting up, smacking the waiter in the face and say, don't try to sell me bread. I see what you're up to. You're getting very sneaky. No, you just say yes or you say no. You don't feel threatened. You don't feel overwhelmed. You just kind of probably say, what great service. And most often we'll have the bread. So now we're having bread, entree and main course, and we just booked in for dinner, which just could have been a main course. And of course, as the waiter's walking away, the wine waiter then makes his way to you to sell you some wine, to recommend you some wine. And so perhaps the wine waiter's heard already what you've ordered. So the wine waiter comes over and says, look, I've heard that you've ordered the barramundi. What a fantastic choice. Do you love a white? This is the white that I would recommend. Perhaps it's $10 more than the white you were going to order. but you order it anyway because of this great service that's attached to the interaction that you're having. So is it service or is it sales? Now, if that wine waiter doesn't come to you, then you would be saying, this is terrible service. We haven't been offered any wine. And the wine waiter doesn't come out at the beginning of the night and look around at all the tables and go, well, they look like they drink, I'll offer them wine. They look like they've got a lot of money, I'll offer them wine. Oh, they don't look like they're into it all. That gives me an easy night, I'll just do those 2 tables. He offers everybody the same standard of service, knowing that some people will buy and some people won't. So if you said to the wine waiter, no, we don't drink, we don't want any wine, do you think he's going to go, oh, I can't take the rejection? It really hurts my feelings when they say no. I just don't think I can do it anymore. No. When I hear people getting upset because, worried about the fear of somebody saying no, you offer it and they've got a right to say yes or say no. And so we say, yes, we'd love some wine. We're having it bottled $10 more than what we were going to have, but that's okay. So now we're having bread, entree, main course, some wine. And when that wine's empty, they better get there quick to offer us more wine, to sell more wine to us. Otherwise, we're complaining about the service. What terrible service. We've been sitting here with no wine for 5 minutes. And so next thing we're having another bottle of wine. Then they bring the dessert menu and go, oh, no, we can't. I mean, we're full. We've undone the button of our pants because, our tummies are so full. We've eaten so much already. But then they say, oh, but have you heard about the dessert that we've got on at the moment? And in the old, I don't know if you would remember this, but in the old days, sometimes had a dessert trolley where the trolley would go past and the visuals, see, 70% of the impact you make is through the visuals. And so they might describe it to you, or, they might show you a picture, or they might tell you about paint this picture of this beautiful dessert, and suddenly you're having dessert, sharing a dessert. So now you've had your 2 bottles of wine, you've had bread, you've had entree, you've had main course, you've had shared a dessert, you've undone your zip now because you're so full, and then next thing you know, you're having coffees, you're having ports, you're having liqueurs, and so, you're booked in for dinner, you've had all of these extra things because you're booking for dinner because you really don't know what's on the menu. And it is up to the staff, to the team members, to explain to your clients, your guests, depending on what your business is, exactly what's on your menu. And then the customer has the right to say yes or say no anywhere along that conversation. And you don't need to be offended by that. But I don't get to say yes and say no and say no if I'm not shown what the menu is. And I don't get to rave about your service and all the extra things that you get to offer me. So now I go out, I feel sick because I've eaten too much. I will be sick because I'm drunk. I've paid much more tonight for dinner than what I'd budgeted for, but I'm going out raving, saying what a fantastic restaurant, what amazing service. I can't wait to tell all my friends about it. So is it service or is it sales? I mean, I could say you were sold to blind all night. Or we could say you just had the most fantastic service, which equaled a fantastic time, which is great business. And it will have you raving about it and going back next time. So let's get over this thing that it's selling. Now, and let's remember that it's service. Now, if you're in a restaurant and you got offered and somebody was trying to sell you some washing detergent, then that's an issue. Somebody sell you some Amway or something, then that's an issue. But you're going into a restaurant. This is what we would expect. So it's customer service. And let's get over this whole selling thing. You're in the business of selling the product of your business the most effective way you can and in a way that inspires people to do business with you. Thank you. See you next time.